The information provided in this podcast does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice. Instead, all information, content, and materials available in this podcast are for general information purposes only.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of SME You, where we're talking with subject matter experts, helping student athletes with life skills, financial literacy, and all other aspects of succeeding in sport off the field. So this is a very special podcast for me because this is about success after ball, but most importantly, getting you ready, student athletes, for the next job. Because let's be honest, college sports and being an athlete is a job. So it is my pleasure to welcome Barry Jones from First String. You're all going to see how amazing he is, but Barry, thanks for joining on and doing this podcast with me.
No, Peter, thanks for having me. And hey, no pressure. So, hey, no, seriously, thanks for having me. I can't wait to talk to you about this.
Awesome. All right, so let's just jump into it. So we're going to talk to student athletes, and I want to have a discussion about getting ready for employment, because when college athletes leave school, 99% of them are not going to play pro ball, but they have these unique skills and these unique skill and character traits that really make them perfect for employment, but they haven't always done a great job of marketing themselves. And I think NIL really has the opportunity to do that. And I'm excited to talk with you about how these athletes can prepare for that next step. So before we get into that, talk to me a little bit about how you got to where you are and how you started, what led you to starting First String.
Okay. Hey, Peter, thanks. So a little bit about my background, kind of grew up with two great parents, and just the affordability of sending three of us to college wasn't in the cards, more or less. So sports was my ticket, kind of introduction to college and to higher education. And you know what? I owe it to that because, it changed my life forever. Being around individuals that were motivated to be there, receive power through the 4 years, get their education, and, start their life. That impacted me a lot. So I owe sports a lot. Okay, see that. So from there, I jumped into the military. I was a military officer for a few years, learned a ton, got to just meet incredible people there, soldiers in the United States Army. They're just amazing people. So from there, I got hurt, just got out, got into corporate America. And so this is the biggest reality check, has a lot to do with First String too. So I started interviewing for jobs, Peter. I was terrible. I was just horrible at interviewing for jobs. In fact, I couldn't get a job offer my two or three times. I was like, wait, I did all this great stuff. I've got an education. What's going on? So I tapped into this resource. It was an organization that really helped military officers make a transition. They help us with interview skills. And so I go through this course, this day-long course, and I tell you what, it was like a light switch went off for me. It was amazing. So what a little more education will do to you.
Yep.
In the next 5 interviews, I had 5 job offers.
Wow.
So you know what? And I brought those skills to me into corporate America. And so I did the corporate America thing. I was in professional sales, Johnson & Johnson, and some small biotech companies for the next 25 years. Very blessed to work with some amazingly talented people. Got an opportunity to just help start up an international biotech company. Started that, hired some great people, learned a ton. But you know what? It then transitioned after 25 years of just really blessed success, and went into corporate recruiting, did executive recruiting for a while, and learned a ton there. So
Barry, I actually want to cut you off there because we use the term recruiting, right? And I think a lot of our student athletes are used to the word recruiting when it comes to being recruited to a school to play. Just let the audience know what it means in the world of employment as it pertains to recruiting.
Okay, thanks for asking that question. So that's pretty important. So in the corporate world with recruiting, individuals will just assess your resume when they find it floating around on LinkedIn or these other websites. And what they'll do is they'll just determine, gosh, do you deserve the right or the opportunity to be, presented for these really high paying, great jobs. Okay. So in other words, these recruiters literally have people's careers in the palm of their hand in their resume moving forward. So, and again, we'll talk about that a little later on, but it's really important to make your connections and your networks with these guys, because these ladies and men literally control the careers of millions of people.
Awesome. All right. So obviously you're qualified to talk to student athletes about getting prepared for their next job. I always want to keep calling it their next job.
Right.
Talk to me about First String and how you started it. What led to the beginning of First String, and what is it that you all do?
Okay, so First String was born out of to fill a gap that really impacted my own family. So my son was fortunate enough to be able to run track and cross country for Division I school. It was at the University of Georgia, and so had a phenomenal experience there. But what we found was the commitment, the time commitment, Peter, for college athletes these days is incredible. Like, he literally trained and ran 12 months out of the year, okay, through all the time. Little time for internships or summer jobs, okay, to get ready for the next step. Okay, he was so focused and determined to be the best for the school, best for his team, never let his team down, that, you know what, the glass, looking forward through those glasses of what's next was really kind of hazy for him at the time. And it really hit him hard at the end. I mean, University of Georgia has a phenomenal department that really prepares athletes. It's the time to get there to those great people. Okay. So First String, so my son graduated, got his first job. He was that first class out. Within 8 months to 10 months, COVID hits. Bam. Incredibly hard for everybody. We know that, but especially for that class that had just graduated, right? He loses his job, comes home. I've been working on an application. He says, Dad, we've got to do something. All my friends are hurting as well. I've lost my job. So we decided, listen, we're going to take this platform, this cutting edge platform, this app, and we're going to convert it over to really assist universities to help their athletes not only know what to expect for corporations, but how to interview for jobs and how to win those jobs and have phenomenal starts in their careers.
So it sounds like actually you took your experiences when you were coming out of the military and what you learned from people helping you to get your first job or to break into corporate America, to then see the correlation and how that can impact college athletes like your son, tie that together, which has now led you into this new venture of making sure student athletes are prepared for when they go into the employment sector to get that job, just like you needed that help when you went through that same transition.
Peter, it's amazing. Your job is a sense of touch point. I mean, your life is a sense of touch points, right? You take them all, and in the end, you hope you create, the experience and the ability to help people learn what you did. You learned the hard way. You're exactly right. It's like, so this is what got me to my career. And this is the same help that we're giving in a much more amplified version, modern version, to the college athletes to let them be successful.
Awesome. Well, I have a sense for why you're the man for this job. Talk to me a little bit about what First String does and how it's different than what is currently going on at college campuses nationwide.
Okay, great. So first of all, what's going on at most colleges around the country is, they're doing a great job. They see that they need to help their students get jobs. So they have varying levels of size of departments. It just depends on your university. What First String does is we partner with them. We just bring them this resource, okay? This resource is to help connect through video technology and through more cutting edge technology today, quickly and prepare these student athletes for the next step, but do it on their own time. We know that time is the most precious element to any college athlete. They're always in meetings or at practice or in class. We bring it to them to where on their own time, through this app, they can prepare themselves with these unique things that we do and we teach them in the corporate world.
Awesome. And I think throughout this podcast, we're going to get into some of what those unique things are. So touch a little bit on it, but what are some things that student athletes can expect when they're working with First String?
Okay. Well, number one, they can expect that, the time that they give us is the time that they have. And we're not asking for anything more than they're given right now because we're on their schedule. Number one. Okay. Number two, they're going to be exposed to things, Peter, that we learned in my entire staff. We're all very experienced in corporate America, 20 and 30-year careers. We know what to tell them, right? We know how to prepare them. We're the coach before the game that's going to tell you the plays that the other team is going to run. Okay.
It's so funny. I heard a great phrase once that you pay a consultant not to tell you what to do, but so you don't make the mistakes they made along the way, right? And it sounds like that's one of the things you all offer, which is we're going to teach you how to not mess up, which is actually going to teach you how to succeed over and over again, which I think is very important.
Yeah. The things that we teach them, peer, are going to put them, we think, 3 to 5 years ahead of any peer that gets the same job in the same company.
Well, I think that's actually a great transition, because what I want to talk about now is the actual entering of the workforce. And you talked about student athletes and how you want to put them 3 to 5 years ahead. And I think a lot of that's going to have to do with some of the characteristics and traits that make them such great candidates. So what skills do student athletes have that make them such great candidates when they enter the workforce?
You know what, like you said, Peter, a college athlete has a full-time job of being an athlete. And within that job, and we consider that job experience, by the way. All right. In that job, I mean, you have time management skills, you have perseverance, mental toughness. Okay. When you look at coachability, that's incredibly important to be able to want to learn to be better and listen to your management staff when you move into it. But also you've got, the discipline that you have. This may sound silly, Peter, but show up every day on time for work and know what you're supposed to do and your responsibilities are and execute them. No one does that better than an athlete.
I couldn't agree more. You said it better than I think anyone could have said, but I'll add one. Working well with others. I think a lot of times when you come into a new job, especially when you're the new one, you've got to assimilate and you've got to be a team player. And who's a better team player than someone who just came from being a player on a team, right? So you touched on it, you nailed it. The time management, the overcoming adversity, right? The working well with others, the ability to grind, the coachability. Those are all great traits that any employer in the country is looking for. And I think the issue is, and we're going to get into it, is student athletes don't always realize they have those traits and then don't know how to sell those traits, because that's what you're doing in an interview, right? You're selling yourself.
Exactly.
And it sets them up for success. What skills do student athletes have that set them apart when starting a business, not necessarily trying to get a job?
Okay. When starting a business, you're looking at, you have to, and again, I've experienced doing that. You have experience doing that, but you know what? It's vision. It's goal setting. And vision is this. Every week at practice, your competition. You watch film, right? You look at stats. You're prepared. Okay. So vision equals preparation, right? So you have goal setting. Goal setting, when you want to start your own business, you've got to survive from goal to goal to goal. And they have to be reasonable and achievable. And as an athlete, you learn that and you embrace that. In fact, the only reason you were successful as an athlete is because you did embrace all of those. You know what it takes, the grind. You said it best earlier, right? It's not going to be easy. What's easy for an athlete, Pete? I mean, come on, give me a break. So I think that is incredible. And as far as the last thing, the most important things when you're starting another business is competitiveness. Yep. Are you kidding me, man? I mean, everybody out there wants to eat your lunch, right? I mean, you're starting a business to take away money out of their pocket. And they're not going to go down now kicking and screaming, but you know what? You're used to it. All right. You thrive on it.
Yeah. Not only that, I think what's really important when starting a business, as you and I have done, and we totally get this aspect, is you're going to win some and you're going to lose some, right? And everyone, it's one thing to know how to win. It's an entirely different skill set to know how to lose and to not let your highs be too high and your lows be too low, the peaks and valleys. How can, through the thick of it, can you stay even keeled in the middle, control what you can control and keep working? to me, that's one of the keys of running a business and being successful. And athletes have been dealing with that their whole lives, right? No athlete has won every single game they've played. You've had to overcome losses. You've had to understand that you can only control so much and just keep pushing. And I think that's very important with everything else that you stated, which is something that points to why athletes are so successful when they start businesses compared to others. So I think you knocked it out of the park with that.
I mean, listen, Peter, they're not afraid to fail. And you know what? People that are afraid to fail, they don't start businesses that survive. No, I think it's an incredible attribute of an athlete.
One of the things that athletes need to do when they go into the interview or when they're trying to get a job is compete, right? They are competing against others for the same position, and they need to be able to separate themselves. What are some of the advantages that student athletes have over their peer group when looking or starting their new job?
All right. So this is where at First Ring, one of the things that we teach a lot, this is a good focus. Number one, you're going to know who you are. Okay. We're going to do a little self-explanatory. We're going to get your core identity out for you to sell. Okay. We're going to, all your strengths, all you've learned, we're going to teach you how to pitch that to that employer to be perfect for that position. And number one, you're going to have a good plan going in. In other words, your first day on the job, we teach you how to put together that 30, 60, 90-day plan that you execute while you're there. Your first 30 days and 60 days on that job are going to be critical, but you're going to know what you're supposed to do. Okay. Okay. Some of these things like, you're going to have a plan laid out that no one else that comes in the same time that you do is going to touch you. And you're going to be exposed through us and through other mechanisms, your parents, your friends. We're going to make sure that you understand corporate etiquette, right? Corporate etiquette is going to be critically important moving forward. You're going to do the right things at the right time. You're going to look the part, Peter. Okay. You're going to look the part. You're going to have a plan. And I got to tell you, you're going to stand out. It's going to be awesome.
Absolutely love it. All right. So we talked about entering the workforce, but a phrase that we hear all the time is life after ball. When should student athletes start preparing for life after ball, both on and off the field?
The day they get on campus. Okay. All right. So here's the classic mistake. And again, we're all procrastinators at some point, Peter, right? So when do college athletes typically think about their jobs, their careers, and their lives? Their senior year, their last semester, right? They're like, wait a minute, where's that job fair? When is that going on? I need a job, right? No, the first day you get on campus, you have an exit strategy. It's like owning a business. It's like it's like a game. Everybody has an exit strategy. Your exit strategy should be that you have a job already sealed by the time you enter your senior year. Okay. To do that, you've really you have to plan out from the beginning. You know what? Some of these things are, it's attend job fairs. As a freshman, go to the job fair if you have time. Get cards, start networking with seniors that are graduating. Okay. Start building up your contacts in your phone for your future. Okay. So it's an immediate task that you have a mission to accomplish every day while you're on that campus, because you're going to have so many obligations as a student and as an athlete. But you know what? The obligation to yourself is what we teach, right? Most important.
Yep.
Okay.
No, yeah, I'm hearing failing to prepare is preparing to fail. But I think the networking thing is so important, because really at this stage, especially for undergrad, you could argue that that's the most important part of college, creating those lifelong bonds and surrounding yourself with people that you're going to be able to grow with when you leave college and start businesses with and rely on for references and, invest with. There's so much that you're going to do with that network, and everybody on a campus wants to hang out with a college athlete, right? Yeah, people gravitate towards you, and it's okay to tap into that, to lean into it, and make your experience in school that much better while also setting yourself up to succeed as you leave.
But Peter, here's the one thing. Just if they remember one thing, if they listen to this podcast, it's this: sports was your ticket to school. School is your ticket to life.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
If you just take that away, all right. If anything, okay, take advantage of it.
So, what can student athletes do while in college to get ready to either start a business or get ready for the job force?
Okay. Well, first of all, you said it's networking, right? But let's talk a little deeper about what networking is. Networking is get a little bit out of your comfort zone and prepare yourself for corporate America by being able to communicate clearly and effectively with people that don't look like you, they don't participate in sports, they may not believe what you do. It doesn't matter. So you have this diverse population of people that you're around in school that are going to be successful. And let me tell you, the smartest guy in the room, the smartest lady in the class, they might be successful. So you know what? Broaden your network.
Okay? I couldn't agree more. My life business partner, the person that I started a law firm with and then Athliance with, we met in law school. We randomly got paired together to room together our first year in law school. A lot of our investors in Athliance, or a lot of people that I rely on when I was a lawyer, or people that I went to school with. I still stay in contact with those that I went to Florida State with for undergrad, and I wasn't even an athlete. I don't remember this class. I don't remember that test, but I still have those relationships with the people that I met along the way, which are more beneficial than any class you can take. And I think that's so important.
It's life's a lot about what you know, but it's who you know, Peter, that's going to make the world go round for you. It's going to open up doors unbelievably.
And even outside of, from a networking standpoint, I want to stay on that. Even outside of your classmates and people you go to school with, alumni love to support their own, especially athletes supporting athletes. So many former athletes stay close to the program. They want to help their athletes. I know, like at Georgetown, right? Their former athletes are so great with current athletes and with internships and jobs. Go to those alumni meetings, go to those, meet and greets, go mingle with people that were in your shoes before, because they understand the experience that you have and the skills you have, because it's what they had and what made them successful. And by the way, everyone always wants to hire themselves, right? So it's a great way to tap in. And to me, that's the beauty of college. More specifically, that's the beauty of being a college athlete.
Peter, listen, you nailed it. So many of these athletes will have the opportunity before a game, after a game, celebrating a victory, connecting with these alum that, by the way, you guys, if an alum is there at your game or at your event and you can't get to them because you have so many people talking to you, there's a reason why, because they're successful. Okay. Take the time, meet them. Not only that, tell them what you want to do. Get on their radar screen. And the next time you see him, say something else. Say, hey, I only got 2 more years. If you can help me out, you got anything out there of, let me know. I'm telling you, Peter, athletes have so much opportunity and exposure to success, because the most successful people from their school are the ones that come back to their school. So it's an amazing thing that almost none take advantage of. They like the high fives. Oh no, shake the hand.
Yep.
Look them in the eye and say, I'd love to talk to you when I graduate or before I graduate. Would that be okay? And you know what? Every one of them are going to say, of course you can.
A phrase we hear a lot is selling yourself. When you go into an interview and you're being interviewed, it's about selling yourself for that job. One of the issues that I think student athletes have, though, is how do you sell yourself when you have little to no quote unquote job experience? So what are some ways that student athletes can get their dream job by selling themselves, even when they have little to no experience with actual workforce?
Okay. So because you will learn how you fit that dream job, and you will learn how to pitch yourself to be a shoe-in for that dream job. If you, number one, understand yourself, understand who you are, understand how to take those experiences you have as a college athlete, from your leadership perspective, from your perseverance perspective, from your time management. We talked about all these things. The most critical part is putting them all together into a story about yourself and how you fit in that dream job. Okay, will line you up in a way that you've just never thought possible. I'm just telling you, man, you will be qualified. I'll put quotes around that, to be in the position to compete in a very real way for that dream job. And then once you get it, you're going to have the plan. I'm telling you, I said this earlier, and the plan is, I mean, we teach all of this, Peter. It's crazy how prepared you will be compared to someone else. So you not only get the dream job, you'll be qualified for it. You'll have the opportunity to pitch for it. You'll get it, but then you'll have a way, a head start. I mean, you'll have a 10-meter head start on the race right off the bat on how you know you're going to execute that dream job.
Absolutely. I personally think that name, image, and likeness has a great impact on student athletes being able to get their dream job. We've talked for a long time about the skills that student athletes have, the ability to work hard, grind, overcome adversity, work well with others, be coachable. Those are skills. But oftentimes you hear, oh, you have no work experience, you have no business experience. And we know that that's a bit ridiculous because being an athlete is a job. But if you engage in NIL and you take on that entrepreneurial spirit, even if you're making just a couple $100 here and there, which every college athlete in the country can do, you can now walk into that job interview and say, you know what? That's not true. I do have experience. I've been building a business. I've owned a business, and it's the business of me. By engaging in NIL, you have an entrepreneurial spirit. You can talk about how you've filed taxes, you've obtained a trademark, you've registered an LLC, you've built your brand, you've built others' brands, you've negotiated contracts. Those skills have the ability to get you that first job. And to me, that is where name, image, and likeness actually now has the ability to impact college athletes to sell themselves along with the characteristic traits to get the dream job more than maybe they were able to do before.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, the NIL opportunity is not only an opportunity, obviously, for there to be some kind of revenue, Peter, but the learning that you will get, the contacts you will get. And again, it's experience. It's all experience. When you line up for your job, who the heck else says, yeah, I've run a marketing campaign. Okay, what do you mean you run a marketing campaign? I ran my marketing campaign. Okay, I'm financially pretty sound at running a business as far as expenses are concerned. I had to pay taxes, by the way. I had so taking every single bit of that athletic exposure to everything, and NIL is going to be the key to their success, and adding on board the NIL capabilities that they're going to have, plus that experience. I mean, Peter, athletes are in a better position than ever before to sell themselves through their experience as an athlete in general.
I love it. All right, so let's actually get to the interview. What should athletes do when preparing for an interview?
Okay, first of all, you know what? When we work with people, Peter, and this is like a 90% statement. Wow, I never knew there was so much to this. Okay, it's not filling a resume out, everyone, and showing up. Okay, anybody can do that. No, that's not. You owe it more to yourself than anything else. So number one, it's do your research, right? So when you're interviewing with a company, here's the thing: as I hired hundreds of people. Okay, the people that stood out to me are the people that were prepared. Prepared is like practice. You can't win a game unless you practice. Okay, so let's just say preparation is practice. Research the company. Number one, what kind of product line do they have? Where do they get it from? What's the supply chain look like? What was the financial forecast that year? Okay, how did they do in the last 5 years? How's their profit margin been? I'm telling you, and that's something at First String that we discuss and we really help you understand. Then we integrate all of that language and all of that information that you gather into your message to pitch yourself, to show them that, you know what, I am prepared, I have experience, and I deserve this job. So it's literally the research on top of that, and the preparation and the practice. Practice is role playing, Peter. People hate role playing. I mean, I was a sales guy for like 30 years. People hate it. But you know what? You've done it in court before, probably, right? Everybody has to practice. I don't care how good you are. You have to practice.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. I can't stress that enough.
There you go.
It is such a key. All right. So now you went and you crushed that interview. You got your dream job. What are some of the do's and don'ts for when starting your first job out of school?
Okay. First of all, it's let's go back to basics. And I want to tell you this, but anybody listening, it's like your dad and mom or the person that brought you up, they knew what they were talking about when they said things like that make a difference. Number one, be humble. Be humble when you walk in the door. Okay. You're the new person there. Be a sponge. You want to do everything you can to meet and connect with everybody in that company. All right. So we actually, these are some of the things we talk about at First String too. It's like how to work your first cocktail party. It's the same thing. Your social gathering, your softball tournament that your company's in. Guys, it's about fitting in. It's about being a team player. It's about finding your place. Okay. But it's also, the coolest part is it's about lining up your next step your first couple of months in the job. Okay. It's a mindset, Peter. You start the job, you have to have a goal for the next step. And if you go to work every day or every week with a plan to get you to that next step, that's when you leave everybody behind, just like you did in high school. You were the top 1% athlete. You didn't do it by resting. You didn't do it by not trying to get better the whole time. Your exit strategy from high school was college. Okay, your college exit strategy was your job. Your job's exit strategy is promotion.
What is your message to businesses across America who might not be looking at college athletes as employees? And what is your message to them as why they should?
I say, number one, I think you're missing out. Okay. We have people on our staff that we hired college athletes in our careers right out of school with no experience. Guess who became number one in the country? Former athlete that performed all the time. But here's the cool thing. You know what? HR person or talent acquisition person, you're taking someone that has been baptized by fire, already forged, okay, to really tackle and come out on top of all these issues that they've faced in their life so far. Okay. When they have these sports that they've excelled at, they know what it takes to be determined and to win and to be a team player. But here's the cool part, corporate America, they'll be loyal. The average person shifts jobs, changes jobs every 2.5 years nowadays. Let me tell you, you get a college athlete in to a very supportive, nurturing environment. You challenge them in your company and you treat them right, you're going to have to run them out. Okay. They're going to be there for a very, very long time. So their loyalty to you, their commitment, but also their performance. All you do is give them a goal, give them the parameters and let them perform and enjoy the profitability of what they're going to bring to you.
All right. You spoke to businesses. Now, what's your message for universities?
I'll say with universities, I think all of you are doing a phenomenal job right now for the resources that you have. Like any other, or every company says the same thing. We don't have enough. But you know what? You might have enough if you invite someone in that specializes in this. So I know that you're wonderful people that help these college athletes. The ratio, literally, Peter, that we're looking at is 2 to 4 people per 500 athletes. That is who are helping them. They are overwhelmed. They're great people. What we do is we bring in the expertise of people who have done this, hired these people for 30 plus years. We bring in that real world experience to them. We bring this revolutionary technology to them to help them organize themselves, to help them train these individuals through their program plus our curriculum, okay, to really put their students at the top of the category of job security and job placement after they graduate. What a phenomenal recruiting tool. I mean, the success that their student athletes are going to have after they graduate is going to bring more student athletes in to start from the 4 years, so they know they have a better opportunity. Like you said, what is it? It's less than 2% go pro, Peter. The rest have to deal with life, okay, in general. So,
no, Barry, you nailed it. There's a reason why I considered you a SME, a subject matter expert. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to these student athletes about the next job, right? Because college sports is a job, helping them succeed in life after ball. And that is another episode of SME You. And I hope you can join us and listen to our next podcast coming up. So Barry, thank you, and looking forward to staying in touch.
Hey, Peter, thanks for your time today. And again, kudos to you for all the good that you're doing for NIL for these athletes at universities across the country.
Thank you, Barry. And that's today's episode. So catch you next time, everybody. Thank you.